All right, today in this video, we're going to be continuing this journey on the P2P framework, still focusing specifically on external positioning, what I call prolific positioning. Why? Is because you've heard the comment that person is prolific, and it's because what they have to say is meaningful. They're standing out for something, and they definitely do stand out. So we're talking today about finding your zag, which I think is super important. There's a really famous author. His name is Marty Neumeier. He was more popular in the 90s, and one of the books I first read about him, it's called Zag. And he came from the agency world, and he talked about this concept of zagging, like finding your zag when everybody else is zigging. And truthfully, it really is as simple as that. And the reason is because you want to be memorable, you want to be different. And truth moment, be honest, right? Be honest with yourself. Are you too vanilla? Are you too, middle of the road, not necessarily standing out? Not good, not bad, right? You're good. You provide solutions for your clients in a way that you can speak in integrity and you know what you're doing and you have the skill set to back it up. But unfortunately, are you too vanilla? Meaning, do people not remember you? That's a problem, right? When you go up to someone, like I mentioned in one of the earlier trainings, and they ask you what you do, and you say, I'm a coach, or I'm a CPA, or I'm a chiropractor, or I'm a teacher, I'm a counselor, I'm a consultant. It's like, womp womp. It's not enough. We want to make sure we're standing out and not being too vanilla. Because vanilla is a good ice cream flavor, but if you had it all the time, it'd be kind of boring. It might not be boring actually, because I really do love ice cream. But the point here is that you don't want to be too vanilla. You want to stand out. So this comes from the concept of finding your moment of truth. When you talk about finding your zag, it's about finding the moment of truth. See, back in the day, we would study shelf placement when there was new product introduction, and this goes with consumer products as well as products and services. And the moment of truth, imagine this, we would study this so much to see how was a consumer, the premium prospect in our case, interacting when they were faced with a host of choices and they were reaching to grab that one brand. Why did they pick that as opposed to the other one? In a sea of options, what makes somebody pick one thing over the other? It's no different for us. It's no different for us as service providers. In a sea of coaches, in a sea of consultants, in a sea of whatever, fill in the blank, what makes somebody pick your solution over another solution? Well, it's because you want to make sure that they're standing out. Again, the big opportunity here is that we want to position ourselves as experts. So I'm assuming that you have the expertise or you're developing that expertise. You have a very strong interest in, planting your flag and saying, I'm an expert at this thing. That's super important. We cover that in internal positioning. So remember that if we are to position ourselves as a go-to solution, one of the key criteria is that we want to be different, because different is better than better. Simple thing to remember. Different is better than better. Let me tell you a little story, because you guys know I love my stories. One of the most interesting things, I come across things, and as I mentioned, everything to me is marketing. And I was at a school event helping for one of my son's fundraisers, and I was meeting with another fellow parent. And that parent, I was making small talk with him. We were both co-leading one of the charity nights, and we're talking, and I said, "Oh, hey, Dr. Luthi, I heard you're a doctor or whatever. That's really cool." And he said, "I'm a doctor for four-legged furry friends." And I said, "Oh, you're a veterinarian?" And he said, "No, I'm a doggy cardiologist." And I said, "I know exactly what you did. That's amazing. You differentiated. You carved out your niche." So we started talking about that very point in which he decided, like, what made you go from a veterinarian into the specialization of doggy cardiology? And he said, "I don't know, I just kind of started focusing in, and I found that it wasn't a very crowded space." Remember, I talked to you guys about white space? This is an example of a white space. He found the white space, and what happened was he developed a business here in Illinois as a doggy cardiologist. In fact, he was so renowned for it, a corporation bought it, and now he consults with them, and he has a 6-month wait list, the doggy cardiologist. Do you see how there's such a big difference because he differentiated, because he made it unique? And I just think there's such a huge opportunity for us to do so. It's no different than what I'm doing. For example, I could easily say I'm just a business coach, and I'm not. I'm a positioning expert. That's my Zag. That's what makes me different. So remember that in order to meet the criteria of the Zag, to keep it super simple, and because I'm giving you a high level overview of all this, is that you want to make sure to pulse check. Are you helping people? Make sure you're taking your premium prospect from a pain into a gain. And that gain, that in between, is a success gap. And that's where you can help them with your Zag, with the way that you're helping them. And all that means is that you're going to put together your way of helping them, bridging that gap, remember, from where they are to where they want to get to. That in between space is a success gap, and you're going to fill that. You're going to help them with your secret sauce or your proprietary method, unique method, and that's going to meet the big promise. Remember that in one of the earlier sessions, I talked about finding your why, really, really recognizing and finding it, the why. My why, I help my clients with expansion. I help them get to that category of one so that they can make the competition irrelevant. This is one example of how I do that, by helping them create that uniqueness, right? Because when you have the unique method in place and you give them that why you're doing what you're doing, you become that missing puzzle piece to get them from the pain to the gain. Here's the deal though, you have to prove that it works. So one of the questions that has come up is like, well, what if I don't have that experience? We'll test out your method with a focus group, no different than the big brands do. You want to get some great feedback on if your method works. Play around with it. Just remember, you're the one that's filling that success gap. You are the one that's building the stepping stones, and those stepping stones are what you can develop in your unique method. Super important. And you want to help your prospects understand why it works. For example, when I talk about mine, remember that I'm talking about this P2P framework, how these things work together. And I've drawn a picture of it to keep it really simple for my visual learners. I'm a visual learner. I like to see things visually and concretize concepts. And so I keep it really, really easy, very, very simple. And I want to make sure that I'm helping my premium prospects understand why the P2P framework works. You can do the same thing with your method. And you want to make sure that that promise of what it is that you're doing is giving them the security. When you build this out in a unique method, it's stuff they haven't heard before. And then the other side of it is that you're basically showing them how it works. And that's driving a sense of security for them. Remember, people are looking for things that provide security. They want certainty. They want to not run away, but move away from any pain or risk. And so by doing that, you really help them close the gap. And so ask yourself, writing down what is that process that you can take your premium prospects through, tapping into, again, what your why is based on what we covered in one of the earlier lessons, and marry that with proof points. Here's one of the things that how to prove that your unique method works. Do you have case studies? Do you have case studies of any clients that you've helped? And even though you may have helped them and it wasn't with your unique method in that moment, you can still, go back and say, oh, I helped Jane through my unique proprietary method, even though at the time Jane didn't know and you didn't call it that. It doesn't matter. You're the one that helped them. Testimonials we talked about are super important. For example, create that focus group or the pilot program or the beta group or whatever it is you want to call it. Test out your concepts in exchange for testimonials. Remember, video testimonials are best. Testimonials on social media are better. And then a written one is good. Good, better, best. Go for that video testimonial because those are fantastic. And remember, stories. Those are another example of proof points. such as all these stories that I've told you about doggy cardiologists and ice cream and all these other stories that I have. Remember, stories are the things that help to solidify and concretize these concepts for your premium prospects. And then the last side is empirical data. Can you say, according to Harvard Business Review, and then you're pulling a piece of data that helps to, again, concretize concepts that you're teaching. So you're using that expertise through third-party resources to establish and solidify that what you're doing is in fact correct, right? So you're being seen as the expert. And this whole format of having a proprietary method, a unique method, is really, really essential, because while people buy because of emotion, they justify it with logic. And if you show them that your unique method is that logical framework and showing them like, this is why you haven't gotten the results that you're looking for, it's because you've been missing the ABC method. And therein lies the big opportunity, just to keep it really simple for this lesson. Go back and really think about building a unique method for yourself so that you can close that success gap for your premium prospects to get them where they are to where they want to get to. And that's exactly how you build your Zag.